This sounds like a pretty poopy situation to be in. It seems like a woman is claiming that her neighbors surrounded her home with poo-filled walls after some kind of land dispute that they were having. There's an Australian mother and her family that have a pretty quiet and rural lifestyle, but it's all been turned upside down after a neighboring landowner allegedly built a whole towering dirt wall filled with manure around her property. Megan Perry is the lady we're talking about today, and she's lived at her home in Dorlong, New South Wales for the past 12 years, where she's raised her 5 children surrounded by the countryside and free-range animals. But she's saying these calm conditions changed one day when there was two brothers named Eleftherius and Petros Karagunis who purchased farmland surrounding the three sides of her property for about $10 million in early 2025. But according to Perry, what started out as a dispute with the new property owners quickly escalated into months of ongoing harassment, construction work, and the creation of the large earthen barriers with manure in it that we were talking about. And now they've been trapped in manure between 10-foot walls and her fence. But apparently she was able to dig herself out because she claimed when talking to the Daily Mail that piles of manure were dumped just feet from her fence line and left there for several weeks while dirt embankments were constructed around her whole property. She said that there's piles and piles of it and they just left it there for 6 weeks, which is wild. That is so kooky, y'all. How are we gonna just build a freaking wall of shit around this lady's yard and fucking trap her in there with her kids? But she's saying that these walls are massive. They're like 10 feet tall, trapping the manure between the barrier and her fence. And this is a little bit creepy, but she's claiming that one of the brothers regularly gets on top of the dirt and like walks around it during the day and the nighttime. So he's like circling her property on this big mound of shit that he's walking on. But she knows this because she has cameras and she said that they could see him. She said that he uses his own personal footpath to get up and he just sits out there walking around her home at like 3 o'clock in the morning whistling. That sounds kind of intimidating. And this isn't just an inconvenience for them. She's saying that these changes have actually created a number of problems for her and her family, including excessive dust, flooding, brown tap water, and an unusable swimming pool. And apparently she's thought about trying to sell her house, but she was told by a real estate agent that under the current conditions, her house can't even be sold, which I don't understand how she's supposed to fix that. That's kind of insane because she didn't put it there. It seems like these guys have tractors or something like that that they're able to use, and they're trying to just run her off and maybe just buy her property. But she stated that her house has been deemed unsellable, and she said that she can't even move out if she wants to, even though her living conditions have become horrendous. And like I said, according to Miss Perry, the dispute began shortly after they bought the property around her house, and she claims that she warned one of the brothers that riders occasionally become trapped inside the property. She claims that she had talked to one of the brothers, letting them know that riders occasionally became trapped inside the property and that she would have to let them out using her gate. And then this guy, I guess, decided to be a hard ass, tough ass dude, and that he said that anybody trespassing on his land would get shot in the leg. So, this guy's a big old tough guy, and I guess just can't see any kind of common sense here. But the ongoing dispute has reportedly resulted in multiple court appearances with the interim personal violence order against the brothers. The ongoing dispute has reportedly resulted in multiple court appearances with an interim personal violence order against one of the brothers. Perry also said that she submitted more than 100 pages of evidence to local authorities and has spent hours speaking to police and investigators assigned to this case. And even though these guys basically made a giant wall of dirt surrounding their home and sort of locked them in, she's stating that her whole family is scared to even be at her home, and it's honestly becoming kind of a traumatizing situation. She even says that as soon as she hears the engines, she starts to hear her heart pounding and she's not able to sleep. There were local authorities who reportedly ordered the walls to be removed in January, though enforcement has been paused while the development of the application is reviewed. And Perry's saying that she's continuing to fight the matter without any kind of legal representation. And she's also stated that the barriers remain in place at the moment, even though the council had their previous order to have them removed. And this dispute is kind of reminding me of the high profile neighbor feud involving Philip DeFranco, where his family was accusing a neighboring property owner of cutting down more than 100 trees that had provided privacy around their home. And in that situation, I'm not sure if there was a realtor involved, but DeFranco said himself that the removal of all the trees dramatically changed the property and has led to ongoing conflicts between the two sides. So these kind of situations can get pretty nasty. I still think that the mounds of fucking shit and dirt are honestly way worse than cutting down trees, but either way, both situations sound insane and I would hate to deal with something like that. And I feel bad for this lady and her kids. That sounds like a terrifying situation to be in. These people sound like kind of lunatics, honestly. They sound insane, especially with the guy going around whistling at like 3 o'clock in the morning. That is some some serial killer shit, honestly. And I don't think that would be okay here, guys. That's intimidating shit. I'm gonna keep following this case and let you guys know what happens whenever there's any kind of update. But as of right now, there's pretty much everything to do with this story. And you guys can check out my other content if you want to. I would appreciate it if you made it this far. And make sure you guys like everything if you enjoyed the video. And I will see you guys in the next one that I make.